Hey guys, it's your girl Carrie, and over the next few weeks I'm going to be sharing 5 items that I always use to make my home feel luxurious, expensive, elegant, and these 5 items are either free or very low cost, but they add a huge impact and a tremendous punch in your decorating style. So today I'm going to be focusing in on dried flowers and twigs and branches, live dried florals. And this is a great way to incorporate that, live plant life in your home without spending any money or very little money. And then also, because these are dried arrangements, you don't have to worry about the florals dying because they're already dead. It can be expensive to continuously purchase floral arrangements, fresh floral arrangements to put in your home. But once you dry certain arrangements, you can have them for many, many years to come. So I'm going to turn the camera around, show you several examples that I'll be incorporating into my decor this holiday season. So guys, the first thing you're going to need is a vessel, and I love putting arrangements in really large urns. It can be a planter that goes outside, but you can use it inside, a large planter, or it can be a large champagne tub or champagne bucket. Whatever it is that you want to put your arrangement in, you're going to need that, and I'm sure you can find something around your home. You don't need to go out and buy anything. Next, you're going to need blooms. You can cut them from outside if you have a hydrangea bush, or you can ask a neighbor. And in my case, that's what I did. I asked someone, could I cut some blooms and use them in a dried arrangement, and they were happy to let me have as many blooms as I wanted. And this arrangement cost $0 to make. I had all of the supplies, and all I had to do was just take a few minutes to actually arrange the arrangement. Now this bowl we've used for several things. You can just use your same vessel and switch it out for the seasons. In the summertime, we have a orchid arrangement in there. And then a couple of Thanksgivings ago, I did this exact same vessel with a pine cone and pheasant feather arrangement. So I'm just going to show you the quick and dirty method of how to dry hydrangea, if that is something you would like to do. So I have this faux hydrangea here, and actually the stem is cut off, but we're going to pretend that this has a long stem on it. Let's just say I just cut this from the hydrangea bush, and there's a long stem and there's leaves on it. What I want to first do is strip off all the leaves. You don't want to have any leaves on your hydrangea. You're going to shake it out, shake any bugs or anything that might be in the flower head. Now, you do not want to wet this flower head. It will not allow it to dry properly. So you cannot wet it once you're ready to dry your hydrangea. And typically you're going to cut these blooms late August up through the November time frame. During the summer and spring, you're not really going to be able to dry them out because of the moisture content, and they'll just kind of get droopy. So this is a project you can only do in early fall. So once it's cut, you strip the leaves, you shake it out, and this is going to sound counterintuitive, but what you're going to do is take a vase or a big bucket or something like that. You're going to fill it, a quarter of the way with water. Take your stems, put them in the water, and sit the stems in a cool, dry place away from sunlight. I set mine in the garage because I wanted to just make sure that all insects and anything that might have been lurking still in the blooms would have died. I don't want to bring anything into the house, so I sat them in the garage for a week. And during that time, the water will evaporate and the stem will just drink up the rest of the water as the hydrangea leaves dry out and turn papery. Let's talk about the beautiful pine cone. I just love pine cones. So again, this is another free item that you can use to make gorgeous arrangements and make your home look elevated. Again, natural materials will always look beautiful because God don't make ugly. So anyhow, before you go outside and start collecting all those pine cones and bringing them in the house, you don't want to do that. You have to prep your pine cones, or else you're going to have little insects everywhere, because again, this pine cone is someone's home and you're disturbing its habitat. So the quick and dirty way to preserve your pine cones, you only have to do this once. Gather up all your pine cones from outside, take a large bucket, dip the pine cones in water, get them wet. You can, kind of wipe them off a little bit with a toothbrush if it has a bunch of debris on it. And then after, they're all wet and kind of wiped off a little bit or rinsed off, you're going to get a baking sheet and line them up on a baking sheet, and then turn your oven on the lowest temperature. I believe most stoves are probably between 180, 200 is the lowest temperature, and then let them bake for about an hour to 2 hours. Now you might see once the pine cones are wet, they will kind of close up, but as they dry, they'll open up and turn beautiful like this. So after an hour or two, they might still be closed up, but all the bugs and everything that would have been in there are dead. You take the pine cones, lay out a sheet of plastic, lay your pine cones there for the next few days until they fully bloom like this. That means they're completely dry. And now you can just use them for years to come. You never have to treat them again. The next dried item that I love decorating with are pine cones. Just throwing pine cones in a bowl can give you just a nice, elegant feel. And again, this is probably the simplest of all arrangements. And this will be a great Thanksgiving fall arrangement. And when the winter time rolls around, you just pull out your frosted pine cones, and you can DIY these very easily. Just put a little bit of Mod Podge. Put a little Mod Podge on the little pine cones, and take a little bit of Epsom salt or either fake snow and just dump it on there, and it'll stick to it, and you're good to go. And what you do is just mix in the frosted pine cones with the regular pine cones, and you'll have something beautiful. And I've shared this tip with you a number of times, but for those of you who are new, this looks like it's a full bowl of pine cones, and abundance always looks luxurious. It looks so luxurious because it looks like it's full of pine cones, but in actuality it's just a very small layer of pine cones. It's only one layer. What I do is fill the bowl. I have a cake plate, a cake stand that's almost as tall as a bowl. It goes about maybe an inch down. I stick that in there so that it fills up most of the space, and I don't have to have that many pine cones, and I just sit them on top to cover up the cake plate, and you never know, you think it's full. Now if you don't have a cake plate, don't worry, just take some newspaper or something like that and stuff it, and then you just sit your pine cones on top. I just think that is such a lovely look. Then you can also decorate with these huge granddaddy pine cones. Look how big they are in comparison to the smaller ones. There are so many things that you can do with these as well. Maybe if you're doing a swag going down your banisters, at the end of the banister you can kind of tie that up with ribbon and let those hang. I've used these in so many different ways throughout the years. Another dried arrangement, a live arrangement you can get are Christmas trees. For years, I don't know how many years, I've been sharing this with you since I've been on YouTube. One of the things that I do once the Christmas season starts, I go to my local farms, and you can also go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, anywhere that sells Christmas trees. And the clippings from the Christmas tree, when they prep them and get them ready to ship off or another person purchase them, you can get those clippings for free. I just gather up all the clippings and I just use them in just little arrangements around my home, just to make my decorations look a little bit nicer, fuller. And you have that live greenery. For example, you can even add in greenery to the pine cones once the Christmas trees come out, and those would just look fantastic and elevated and really luxurious and rich. Now, word on the branches, you have to prep these as well. When you bring these in from the outdoors, again, insects can be in the branches, and also there is sap in Christmas trees. So what you do not want to do, let's say you wanted to make an arrangement down your a dining room table. You do not want to put the branches directly onto your table because the sap will run out and it would ruin your table. And then also the insects. So basically what you want to do when you bring them home, shake them out, leave them in a garage for a couple of days. That way they'll heat up and all the sap will run out of the branches. You won't have to worry about the sap getting in your home. And then after the sap leaks out, before bringing it inside, you want to spray the branches with a matte acrylic spray so that if there are any insects in the branches or the leaves, you will trap them underneath the matte spray and it will kill it because they can't come out. So that's how you want to prep your branches. I'll show you that once the Christmas trees come out for the season. And for those of you who don't want to clip twigs and things from the outdoors because you're worried about insects and things like that, you can just purchase twigs and branches from your floral supply store or your grocery store. I get twigs and stuff from my grocery store all the time, and I just wait for the twigs to go on clearance because twigs won't, they're already dead, so you don't have to worry about them spoiling or dying. If I wanted to make this arrangement even bigger than what it already is, it's really huge now, I can take these twigs and kind of stick it into the arrangement and kind of build it up, and it can become a really, really tall arrangement. And that would be maybe if you're sitting it in a foyer on a big, welcome table or something like that. But this would give it height. And again, this was just $3.99, or it can be free if you go outside and clip some twigs. And these twigs, I use these twigs year round. I have some curly willow that's similar to this, and I now have those in the vases, in the niches in my basement. As you recall, years ago, these vases used to be green and they had yellow faux flowers in them. I have since painted them over with white chalk paint and stuck in some curly willow to give it an updated look for very little money. Another fun dried item or item that will not spoil or die on you and shrivel up that you can have as a dried arrangement is pampas grass. And pampas grass has become really, really popular right now, and it can be rather expensive if you try to buy it online, Amazon, Etsy, especially if you get the really large stems. Look at these stems. These are quite large. You see they're the width of the table and then some. So these are about, I would say at least 4 feet tall. And I actually picked these up from Kroger, and they cost $6.99. This is probably the best deal you're going to get unless you just, have a pampas bush in your garden, or a neighbor, or if you go on the side of the road. Other than clipping them for free yourself, $6.99 for 3 stalks this large is a great deal. And again, I got these from Kroger. I don't really fool with the pampas grass for free. I don't want to cut the pampas grass off a bush outside because lots of times I've seen tons of ants and things on them, and I don't know how to get rid of that. I really don't know how to prep the pampas grass, so I'd rather go ahead and pay the money and have it already prepped for me, and then once I have it, I can keep it for years to come. Now this right here, these are extra packs that I have after I made the arrangement that is in my master bathroom. I'll give you a sneak peek of my DIY masterpiece. I'll call it that. Now I made this entire thing. I made the vase, I did the arrangement, and I even made the entire frame shadow box, the antique mirrored glass that's in there. I'll do a separate video on how I DIY'd this masterpiece in my master bathroom. And my last and final foliage that can be dried and be very beautiful and last for years to come are Magnolia Leaves. They're really brown. They're beautiful right now and brown, but over time as they dry out, they're going to lighten up. They're going to change colors, but they'll still be perfect to use year after year. So if you plan on using Magnolia Leaves in your decorations, you want to wait as close as possible till the holidays to cut them, because over time, you see this beautiful brown underside and this beautiful green. It's going to dry out, and this will make great wreaths. You can make a magnolia wreath. You can do a runner. You can make swags. You can just take it and put a bunch of them in a pot or urn, have them standing up. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with the magnolia leaf. And in my area, there are tons of magnolia trees, tons of neighbors that have magnolia trees. You just say, hey, can I cut a few branches off of your tree so that I can make an arrangement? And if not, you know, find a magnolia tree. Now this magnolia right here, I actually picked up from Kroger. It was $5 a bunch, just so that I could show you and share with you in this video. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and got some great ideas. And now you don't have to only use these tips for the holidays. They can be used year-round for each season. Just grab whatever foliage is out during that season, or grab some branches, twigs, or what have you, and you can just make all different types of arrangements in your home that will look elevated and beautiful. So leave a comment below and let me know what you plan on trying this holiday season or throughout the year. Hopefully you'll make some wonderful arrangements, and until next time, I'm going to keep calm and carry on. Bye guys.